Okay, so I'm not a film guy. I am a computer science dude. I am a tech nerd whose movie experience revolves around critically acclaimed action movies, comic book movies, or just plain adaptations of franchises that I like that weren't originally filmed, like Sonic the Hedgehog movies, for example. However, I do appreciate art all the same, whether it's video games, it's TV, or movies. I feel like all art are forms of expression and entertainment, and my passion lies within dissecting author's intent and just discussing viewer experience, i.e., opinions. Um, my overall opinion on film critique is very simple and lenient. I feel like in general, you are valid if you back your feelings up with logical claim. For example, simply saying something is boring or bad isn't enough, or I don't count that as regular critique. You must also explain why you felt that way or why you didn't like something. Similarly, you should probably do your best to explain why you enjoy something. I think film or media discussion in general is more fun when we peel apart the layers of why we like or don't like stuff. And that's kind of like my goal with this whole series and slash marathon or whatever, to kind of just watch movies and explain how I feel about them. Um, I also kind of hate the idea that your taste in film is somehow tied to your intellect or your what's it called, ethos, I guess, as an opinion maker. Like, yeah, obviously you can give uneducated opinions. Like maybe someone who just started with Harry Potter 7 shouldn't have very strong critiques of the film because they didn't watch the other ones. However, I think if anyone sat for like 1 to 2 hours with their eyes open and actively watching, then their experience is just as valid as anyone. I mean, that's what art is at the end of the day. It's just expression and experience. It's totally normal for people to come out with two different opinions of the same film or media or whatever, right? Like that's just human experience in general. If you eat a pack of mayo, it's gonna taste different for you than it does for me. Personally, I'm gonna puke. um, now that that's out the way, here's some stuff that you should probably know about me as a film watcher before you go and watch my reviews. I don't even like calling them reviews. It's more just like me yapping about the film. But I feel like you should probably know these things before you hop in and watch the other videos that I'm gonna potentially start pushing out. So first things first, I'm a sucker for happy endings. I feel like sad endings typically have left me unsatisfied. I think it's kind of hard to pull off a good sad ending, like even harder to do a bittersweet one. But it is good when it's done well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every sad is bad, and that's gonna be sort of a theme that you notice with me is like things that I don't like. It's not 100%. I just feel like people settle for the way that things are done, and that becomes an industry standard. And by proxy, everyone who does it, I don't like because it's not to a quality that I would like to see. So, but that doesn't mean that if I say I don't like something, that doesn't mean that like, oh, if it's there, it's a deal breaker for me in a film. You should probably still recommend it to me. Um, I feel like also when it comes to sad endings or like some depressing films, I feel like the message behind some of those movies tend to be on the nose, and I also kind of hate that kind of storytelling too. When like it's more of like a documentary in a sense. Like I want to be entertained at the end of the day, and profound messages can be entertaining. But there are some movies that kind of lean too heavily in trying to be activism and stuff like that. And it's okay, but it's just not something I'd sit down for a couple hours to watch, right? Like if I want to learn about a real life event or be educated or feel some type of way or see some kind of call to action, I'll watch a documentary. And I have watched documentaries. I don't really go to the movie theaters for that, you know. And it's fine if it's in there, if it's like there. Like I'm not even trying to be like, oh, I don't want no politics in my movies. Absolutely not. The first film that I'm going to talk about is heavily political, and I love that about it. I'm talking about certain movies that don't do a good job of storytelling and focus too much on the message they're trying to convey. Some movies do that. Probably not your favorite ones though, because sometimes they end up as bad. A counterexample to this, just to show you that. I'm not spitballing when I say that I'm not 100% on everything, opinion wise. Is and this is a book. I didn't watch the film. I watched the film, but I forgot. It was very forgettable. But the book Bridge to Terabithia, very sad ending. You can even call it bittersweet, but honestly, it was sad to me. Like I actually cried reading that book, but I loved it. I love Bridge to Terabithia. It's one of my favorite books, and it has a sad ending. So it's not always a bad thing. I don't always hate it. I'm just saying that generally it doesn't land for me. Um, this one's gonna be very I'm gonna say controversial, but I encourage you to talk in the comments if you disagree with this in any way. But I've actually never been the biggest fan of graphic sex in film and TVs. I'm not a prude. Is that the word? I'm not prude. And I'm not saying that it should never be shown. Like, oh, I want to put a hard ban on graphic sex in films. But honestly, like a lot of what I see on TVs and movies, just it feels gratuitous. It doesn't add much, and it doesn't do much for me as a viewer because I really don't find the concept of sex, like just the bare bones surface like depiction of sex. I don't find that interesting, right? Like there's plenty of film out there centered around adult relationships that don't have explicit sex in them, or like they'll go to like the fade to black and stuff like that. I understand it's a part of daily life and we shouldn't hide it and all that stuff like that. My problem is when they're used intentionally to basically kind of convey like development. I'm trying to that's not the right word, no. I think what happens, especially in modern TV and film, is that they lean way too heavily on cliches and social stigmas to communicate things that could be expressed in far more meaningful ways. I'll give an examples, right? So a lot of shows, if they want to show that a character is lonely, they'll just put a bunch of scenes of them casually hooking up. If they want to show someone that they want to show that someone is cool, they'll give them scenes of them casually hooking up. If you want to show like someone is unfaithful or they're morally questionable, you guessed it, show scenes of them casually hooking up. I just feel like Hollywood, mostly Hollywood has this issue, right? Not so much in indie films. And when indie films do sex, it's usually really good. But I feel like Hollywood has like a shortcut for character development, and I'm just getting tired of it. It's getting really old. It's never really done it. It's more so gratuitous, and not every film or TV does it badly, but a lot of them do to the point again where I feel like there's a standard that there's a very low bar that they try to meet, and because so many of them do it, I'm just gonna safely step out of those types of films and media because a lot of y'all ain't doing it right for me personally, right? And that's also kind of why in my Instagram post, when I asked my friends to give me some films, I excluded coming of age films and romance specifically, except for like rom coms, because at least the newer coming of age and romance films I've seen, they kind of rely a little too heavily on sex to tell the story instead of just telling the story. I at this point I just have a short tolerance for it. It's not a deal breaker for me, but you won't expect me talking about it much if it is there. But I'm happy to discuss this if you disagree. Like I really if you're someone who thinks like, nah, Cam, everything you said was incorrect, sex definitely belonged, please by all means go ahead and talk to me. I'm happy to have a realistic discussion. Like I said, I think peeling apart why we like things is the most fun part about talking about film for me. On to some more yummies instead of the yucks. I'd say any non-romantic male relationship like father son, father daughter, or brother, or uncle or grandfather, any type of like male non-romantic relationships in the film will always have a soft spot for me. Um, as a man myself, I aspire to be in those positions where I'm a good dad or a good brother or a good uncle and someday a grandfather maybe. Um, I love stories that explore these roles and what it means to be these things because it just kind of hit home for me. It's just a soft spot, a bias, if you will. And if it does it well, all the better. But sometimes I just like it even when I'm drip fed it. So that's kind of something that's gonna if you want easy points from me, you can just make a movie about that. I have a guilty pleasure for nonsensical action, and the reason why I'm tolerant about opinions on sex in the films is because my guilty pleasure, because I'm pretty sure there's some people who like sex in films for the most surface level reasons. I like action in films for the most level reasons. I watched the film Nobody, which is like a poor man's John Wick, and now I don't care anymore when it comes to action. If you want to make random stuff explode, I don't care. If you want to have some guy one hand a sniper rifle, I do not care about the physics behind that. If it looks cool, then you can pull it off as a director, and I won't care. Um, I feel like my only limit to this is if you don't mischaracterize anyone for it. A good example is Zack Snyder's Batman. I think Zack Snyder's Batman kind of sucks because he pulls out guns and just start ripping it on everyone, which goes against everything that Batman stands for because his parents were victims of gun violence. So why would he use guns? But as long as the action doesn't take away from characters, I don't care. And now that we're on the point of that, I think characterization is like the biggest thing for me. You're gonna hear me talk about characterization a lot when I talk about these films. I think character driven plots are so much better than like event driven plots, right? Like when a character does something and their actions drive the story, that is so much more engaging than when characters are just going through things that happen to them. I don't like movies like that. So that's just another thing that I kind of like about films that you'll see a common occurrence of. Um, Last thing I'll say is like I will cut off a movie if I'm not vibing with it. So if you see a review that's really short, yeah, your heart better start thumping because there's a good chance I dropped it. I think most people do this. I don't think this is like a something that I had to say, but I do want to make it known that like I'm not a film person, so like I'm not gonna sit through a bunch of film that I don't like, right? Like I just casually watch this stuff. Um that won't be a diss to people who enjoy the film. I can just tell when things aren't for me. Like I've tried. I thought that I was being like judgmental at first when I would drop films, and then like I tried 3 times to watch a film that I initially thought wasn't for me, and I'm always right about how I feel about it. I'm not often am I ever surprised by a film. I usually look at the synopsis and I go, okay, I think I might like that. Or I look at a synopsis and go, I probably wouldn't like watching that. And 90% of the time, I'm right. That's just because I know myself. I spend a lot of time with myself. I know what I want. Not that's not to say I'm not open to things, but I can typically tell when I don't like something. So if I do cut something off early, don't take it personal. I know myself, so I know if I'm not gonna vibe with something. Um, Overall, I'm gonna rate these films based off enjoyment, and every critique I will try to meet with whys and what I like to see from a film. This is just me giving you a glimpse into how I feel. It's not reflective of the quality of the film or blah blah blah. My opinion, don't kill me for it, right? I hope that I can just at least convey how I felt while watching something. Sometimes it'll be good feelings, sometimes it'll be bad feelings, and that's all we can hope for. So appreciate you guys watching the videos, and honestly, I just want you guys to comment. Like you know what I'm saying, like that's fine with me. Even if you don't like the video, just comment. Just be like, you suck. You didn't get it. This is why. Like, you know what I'm saying? As long as you say this is why, then that's good enough for me. But anyways, have fun, guys.